is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. 7% of students get a C or above in 3 key subjects. And the remaining suspect in the airport heist fails to show up for trial. That's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Chester Robards, filling in for Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, August 19th, 2024. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Chester Robards, filling in for Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Deandra Cartwright will be joining us. Also this morning, we have Morning Blend Business. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you were sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. And in the overnight, national exam results, 7% get C or above in 3 key subjects. Officials say, though, that students are performing better overall. Of the 5,000 students from 107 centers who were registered to sit the Bahamas General Certificate of Secondary Examinations, 653, or 11% of them, had a grade of C or higher in 5 or more subjects, Ministry of Education officials reported on Friday. In 2023, 544, or 10.9% of the 5,393 students received a grade C or higher in 5 or more subjects. Of the students who sat the exams this year, 1,009, or 17%, obtained a minimum D grade in at least 5 subjects. In 2023, there were 901, or 16.71% of the students who achieved this. Officials also reported that in 2024, 431 students received at least a grade C or better in mathematics, English, and a science subject. This represents 7.26% of individuals who sat the exams. In 2023, there were 303 students who got at least a C grade in those 3 subjects, 5.62% of all students who sat the exam. While the 7.26% may appear concerning, Director of Education Dominique McCartney-Russell stressed, this combination of grades gives no indication of the overall composition of candidates, nor can any generalized statements be made about the candidates. Every year, candidates sit the BGCSE examination over multiple settings. Because of this, a large number of candidates may not sit mathematics, English language, and science in the same year. This does not necessarily mean that they do not possess the combination of subjects. Officials reported that both males and females have increased their percentages at A, C-, and decreased at D and G-. Officials reported that both males and females increased their percentages A through C and decreased D through G, though there was an increase at U. And in that airport heist trial, the only remaining suspect in the $1.47 million theft from an armored company at a private airport in New Providence last year failed to appear for his trial on Friday. Akil Holmes, a former employee at ICS Security, is charged with stealing, conspiracy to commit stealing, and receiving $45,000 from the heist. According to the prosecution, on November 2nd, 2023, Holmes and Oral Roberts took a bag containing $1,475,000 from the property of the Bank of the Bahamas. The property of the Bank of the Bahamas from a car that had been left unattended at a private airport. The matter was adjourned to February 19th because Holmes' lawyer, Sonia Timothy Knowles, requested disclosure from the prosecution. Holmes' co-accused Oral Roberts was murdered in Fox Hill on July 31st, and his murder remains unsolved. Michael Fox Jr., the reputed leader of the Fox Hill Outlaws gang, and Dino Smith, who were also questioned about the incident, were both murdered earlier this year. And after an outage left thousands of New Providence residents without electricity for hours on Thursday night, Minister of Energy Jo Beth Colby Davis said staff at Bahamas Power and Light are working to fix the utility provider's challenges and avoid such problems in the future. Colby Davis acknowledged once again that BPL's infrastructure is strained and said that is why the Davis administration is moving urgently to implement its energy reform plans. She said, quote, "The state of the country's infrastructure, transmission, and distribution line is to the point where we are pulling and demanding a certain voltage of power to be generated in various homes, various businesses. But the system is trying its best to provide that, and it's very stressed and strained. And so there's urgency," she told reporters on the sidelines of an event on Friday. And the Davis administration, the opposition have pledged bipartisan support for the completion and implementation of the National Development Plan. Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis and opposition leader Michael Pintard were among the speakers at a workshop on the plan hosted by the Inter-American Development Bank at Island House in New Providence on Friday. The plan was substantially completed under the last Christie administration with the support of the Free National Movement, led at the time by Dr. Hubert Minnis. It was, however, shelved after Minnis became Prime Minister in 2017. In international headlines, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Monday the time is now to conclude a Gaza ceasefire agreement that would return hostages held by Hamas and bring relief to Palestinian suffering after 10 months of devastating fighting in Gaza. Blinken's ninth urgent mission to the Middle East since the conflict began came days after mediators, including the United States, expressed renewed optimism that a deal was near. But Hamas has expressed deep dissatisfaction with the latest proposal, and Israel has said there were areas it is unwilling to compromise. The trip, days ahead of new talks expected this week in Egypt, comes amid fears the conflict would widen into a deeper regional war following the killings of top militant commanders in Lebanon that Iran blamed on Israel. Blinken said as he opened talks with Israel President Isaac Herzog in Tel Aviv, quote, "This is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire, and to put everyone on a better path to enduring peace and security." And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Sunday the daring military incursion into Russia's Kursk region aims to create a buffer zone to prevent further attacks by Moscow across the border. It was the first time Zelensky clearly stated the aim of the operation that began August 6th. Previously, he had said the operation aimed to protect communities in the bordering Sumy region from constant shelling. Zelensky said, "It is now our primary task in defensive operations overall to destroy as much Russian war potential as possible and conduct maximum counteroffensive actions. This includes creating a buffer zone on the aggressor's territory, our operation in the Kursk region," he said in his nightly address. Let's turn our attention to sports now. And the Bahamas secures back-to-back Goodwill Games victories. They got 55 gold medals. In a dazzling display of athletic prowess and national pride, Team Bahamas once again asserted its dominance by clinching the 2024 Goodwill Games Championship in St. Lucia. The Bahamian contingent not only secured the top spot, but also shattered multiple records in the process, solidifying their reputation as a powerhouse in regional sports competitions. Team Bahamas amassed an impressive 1,485.5 points, leaving their closest competitors, Trinidad and Tobago, trailing significantly with 902.5 points. Barbados rounded out the top three with 894 points. The Bahamian athletes' extraordinary performance was marked by a haul of 55 gold medals, 44 silver medals, and 42 bronze medals, underscoring their superiority across disciplines. The final day of competition was particularly momentous as Bahamian athletes broke several records, adding to the excitement and prestige of their victory. And Fibwe Palma has made a significant addition to their roster by signing Franco Miller Jr., combo guard from the Bahamas. As the team gears up for the upcoming season in Spain's FEB Second League, Miller's arrival brings a blend of NCAA experience and international play that promises to add depth and dynamism to the squad. Miller's journey to Fibwe Palma is fueled by a clear motivation to kickstart his professional career on a high note. He said, quote, "I was looking for a place to start my professional career, and I think this is a great opportunity to go there and put up some good stats to further my career." And Bahamian NFL star Michael Strachan inspires youth at Panthers training camp. In a landmark moment for Bahamian representation in American football, Michael Strachan, the sole NFL player from the Bahamas, teamed up with NFL Flag Bahamas to host a VIP experience for young athletes during the Carolina Panthers training camp. This collaboration with the Carolina Panthers and NFL Flag Bahamas offered a glimpse into the NFL world for a group of fortunate kids, creating unforgettable memories and inspiring the next generation of Bahamian football players. In international sports, Meadows wins it in 10th as Tigers edge Yankees 3-2 in MLB Little League Classic. Aaron Judge sure got the rock star treatment from hundreds of Little Leaguers who went wild for the New York Yankees slugger, holding out baseballs for autographs. pleading for selfies, even asking him about the size of his muscles. For the moment, he stepped off the plane to his last at-bat. Judge said, "They're making me feel like the Beatles out here." Judge even wore a Little League hat to his press conference, proud of the deal he swung with some kids to obtain the cap and collectible pins for Yankees swag. And Kelsey Mitchell scored 27 points, and Caitlin Clark added 23 points and 9 assists, and Lexi Hull scored 12 of her career-high 22 points in the fourth quarter Sunday to help the Indiana Fever beat the Seattle Storms 92-75. With 232 assists so far this season, Clark broke the previous WNBA rookie record of 224 by Tisha Penicheiro in 1998. The number 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft has scored at least 20 points in 5 of her last 6 games. She is averaging 23.7 points on 47% shooting from the field and 11.7 assists over that span. Mitchell hit 10 of 19 from the field and 5 of 8 from three-point range, while Hull was 8 of 10 shooting and hit a career best of 6 threes on 7 attempts. Aaliyah Boston grabbed 15 rebounds to go with 9 points and a career-high 8 assists for Indiana. And the Denver Broncos coach Sean Payton isn't ready to name rookie quarterback Bo Nix his starter just yet. It sure seems it's just a matter of time, though. He said, "Well, listen, he's played well. I'm not announcing any starting quarterback tonight." Payton said after Nix made another strong case for the gig when he led Denver to scores on both of his drives in his first NFL start, a 27-2 win over the Green Bay Packers backups on Sunday night. That's sports, that's the overnight. Now it's time for your first look at weather. And here's your look at weather for today. Your general situation: a weak lingering surface trough extends over the central Bahamas with weak high pressure to the north. This configuration will keep moisture elevated across the country. An upper level trough is positioned over the southeastern U.S., contributing to increased moisture from the southwest, instability, and potential convection across the Bahamas, enhancing the likelihood of daily thunderstorms, particularly during the afternoon hours. Swells generated by Ernesto, located far to the north, will continue to impact the Atlantic exposed waters, leading to rougher sea conditions and an increased risk of rip currents. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to the moderate to large swells, particularly in the Atlantic exposed waters. There is a high risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed beaches. Beachgoers should remain vigilant, adhere to safety guidelines, exercise caution when swimming, and be mindful of the heat, as high temperatures and humidity will result in dangerous heat indices. The full moon will result in higher than usual tides, potentially leading to minor coastal flooding in low-lying areas. For the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and humid with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots, but falling light and variable at times over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 7 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. For the central and southeast Bahamas, weather partly cloudy, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the central Bahamas. Partly to mostly sunny, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the southeast Bahamas. Small craft operators should exercise extreme caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Wind southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, but falling light and variable at times in the central Bahamas, and east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the southeast Bahamas over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 6 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. Your high temperature today, 93 degrees Fahrenheit, 34 Celsius. Your overnight low temperature, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius. Heat index for today, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. We'll have more in weather for you, including your tropical weather outlook, later in the show.
Wake up, it's a new day.
When we come back, we're discussing some of the day's top stories. That's when Morning Blend continues here on Guardian Radio 96.9, home of fresh news and smart talk all day.
It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Attention Bahamas. Embark on an inspiring voyage with 2 new books by Hubert Ingram, Our Remarkable 3-Time PM. Learn of his exceptional leadership in steering the nation through local and international storms. These books are a treasure for all Bahamians. Are you into history or seeking inspiration? Then this is a must-read. Available at Doongalik, Logos, the National Art Gallery, and Chapter 1. Get your copies today. Be inspired by a legacy of wisdom and vision.
Looking to elevate your gadget game or a tech trouble simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
It's time to upgrade the way you enjoy at-home entertainment. Alive Fiber is here. Enjoy all your favorite channels and streaming apps, all at lightning-fast internet speeds with affordable bundles, and it's only a click away. Visit www.alivefiber.com to sign up now. Stay connected, live your life. It's good to be alive.
Wishing for some extra cash this summer? Yeah! Enter Esso's Summer Wins promotion. Esso is giving you the chance to win 3 incredible cash prizes: $2,000, $2,500, and the grandest prize of them all, $5,000. To enter, simply fuel up with $25 or more, write your contact information on the back of your receipt, and you'll be eligible to win. 10 lucky customers will also have a chance to participate in convenience store sweepstakes. Promotion ends September 29th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. Like and follow Sol Petroleum on Facebook for more details.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good
for you. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome back to Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on www.guardiantalkradio.com and the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices and on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 or BTC Flow Channel 612. We're all over social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, I'm Chester Robard, sitting in for Dwight for a few days. Joining me soon, Deandra Cartwright. But you can join our conversation today. Tweet us at MorningBlend969 or follow the hashtag MorningBlend. And be sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Leave your comments and read what others are saying about the topics on the show. Or you can email us at morningblend@nascar.com. You can text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC. Text us at 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Standard text rates do apply. And also coming up this morning, more weather and traffic. You can always call us. Need I forget that? 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. And if you're on the Family Islands, you can call us toll-free, 242-300-5720. We have some business news coming up in Morning Blend Business at 9 a.m. But first, it's time to talk about what's in the news. And in the news, we're going to try and unpack these national exam results. Still, even though education officials are saying that overall students perform better, the grades still seem a bit dismal. So let's look at this story again. It says, of the 5,935 students from 107 centers who were registered to sit the BGCSE, 653, or 11% of them, received a grade of C or higher in 5 or more subjects. That's from the Ministry of Education officials. So of the 5,935 students, 653 of them received a grade of C or higher, C through A, in 5 or more subjects. So that breakdown is that they received a C through A in 5 or more subjects. In 2023, 544, or 10.9% of the 5,993 students received a grade C or higher in 5 or more subjects. So education officials are saying that number went up this year by, let me do the math, some 100 and about 110 students. So extra 110 students out of 5,935 students got a C grade or higher in 5 or more subjects. Of the students who sat the exams this year, 1,009 or 17% obtained a minimum D grade of D in at least 5 subjects. So 17% of the students who sat the exam this year got a D grade in at least 5 of their subjects. In 2023, there were 901, or 16 a D grade in at least 5 subjects. So officials also reported that in 2024, 431 students received at least a C grade or better in mathematics, English, and a science subject. So in 3 subjects, they received a C grade or better, so C through A. And that was in at least mathematics, English, and 1 science subject, which represents 7.26% of the individuals who sat the exams. In 2023, there were 303 students who got at least a C grade in those 3 subjects, 5.62% of all students who sat the exam. While the 7.26% may appear concerning, this is what Director of Education Dominique McCartney-Russell said, the combination of grades gives no indication of the overall composition of candidates. And she says, nor can any generalized statements be made about the candidates. I'm not 100% clear about what she's saying there. And she says, quote, every year candidates sit the BGCSE examination over multiple settings. Because of this, a large number of candidates may not sit mathematics, English, language, and a science in the same year. This does not necessarily mean that they do not possess the combination of subjects. If they don't sit the exams in the same year, it's still their same BGCSE result. Or is she saying it's not counted this year? They may have counted it last year. I'm not sure. But officials report that both males and females have increased their percentages at A through C and decreased at D through G. It says the results show that 11.31% of females who sat the exams in 2024 got A's, 13.64% got B's, 29.14% got C's, 19.71% got D's, 11.81% got E's, 7.35% got F's, 4.33% got G's, and 2.71% got U's. As it relates to males, 9.2% got A's. In 2024, 11.66% got B's, 26.92% got C's, 20.98% got D's, 13.51% got E's, 8.56% got F's, 5.78% got G's, and 3.39% got U's. In 2023, this comparing the 2023 results now. 9.78% got A's, again compared to 11.31% this year. 13.26% got B's, compared to 13.64% this year. And 26.42% got C's last year, compared to 29 5.14% this year. So in those big grades, in those top passing acceptable grades, it seems that things went up a little bit compared to last year. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Not me, I ain't.
What? Good morning.
Me.
Good morning. You're on the air. No? Okay. So, let's see what Ms. McCartney-Russell is saying here. Both groups of candidates have made significant improvements to better their performance. While females continue to edge out males, males have made a higher increase at B and greater and decreased at D and F. So Minister of Education Glenys Hanna-Martin declared that the 2024 results, quote, are by and large showing promising sparks. She said A grades increased by over 2% over a 5-year period. B grades decreased by 1.5% over a 5-year period, and there was over a 0.5% increase in C's. Hanna-Martin said there were decreases in D's, E's, F's, and G's. She said, quote, the numbers demonstrate that we have gotten children back into school and are mitigating the effects of pandemic loss. We are pleased to see improvements among our girls and boys. The BGCSE has shown the biggest improvement. Both males and females improved across the board, and 10.5% more students have been recommended to take these exams. She also says that also noteworthy is the fact that over a 5-year period from 2020 to present, the data indicates consistent gains showing a general increase in A's, B's, and C's, while there is a general decrease in grades D to G. And joining me this morning, welcome, Deandra Cartwright.
Good morning, Chester Robards.
Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure to be here on a beautiful Monday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Unpacking this information on the national examination grades.
I was listening on the way here, and like I'd heard about it, but hearing this, I love numbers. I love numbers, and I'm like, do you know what that is? You have almost 6,000 students that are graduating, right? That are eligible, because some of them might be in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, or even grade 13. Mm-hmm. But those who are eligible to sit these, and you have 600, just above, around that number, that can pass.
Right.
Now, listening to the minister, and that is a very valid point, recovering from the pandemic and persons not being able to learn in a conducive environment does play a role. But how long do we keep saying that?
Yeah.
What all programs are in place? And I know that they've been doing a lot of hard work really to try and catch up. But this issue isn't something that just came around during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. This issue has been around for a very long time, right? And if you were to trend the numbers, you would see that this seems to be rather common. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I remember, what was it? I had a younger person tell me the other day, an eligible person to sit the BGCSE, young person, try to say, oh, well, the national average is a D, so that's a pass. I'm like, no. A pass is a C grade or above.
Yeah.
But this is what some of them are telling themselves. Yeah. I'm like, no. And I just wonder, and my grandmother was an educator, right? So I think that's a part of the reason why I care so much about academics as well.
Yeah.
It's very important for young persons to have a conducive environment. And are we taking into account the sociological element where they're not necessarily coming from homes that might encourage, nurture, support positive academic performances? I mean, shout outs to our teachers, and I really don't want anybody to go after our educators, because day in and day out, they are doing the best with what they have. I've seen quite a few of them. My friends have supported where I can, trying to fundraise, to get funds to really boost up their resources in their classroom so that their students have a conducive environment. If the teachers are trying to do what they can, right, and we can trend that because, right, I don't know how many different lesson plans. If the exams are written by the experts at the Ministry of Education, you have all of this scientific approach that's going on. Are we really doing an analysis of what's going on in the home? I mean, years gone by, I remember that they had a project of sorts talking about truancy, where they would actually try to educate the parents about the importance of having their students, their young people in the classroom. But are we still doing that? Yeah. Are we doing parenting classes? Like, I really don't think we're doing enough.
Yeah, you're right.
So I
there are definitely parents out there who need more parenting skills, better parenting skills.
This is the thing. There are children who are raising themselves, honestly. Yeah. And then when they get to school, and again, this comes from some of my experience of teaching. I've done too many things in my lifetime, Chester. Teaching, and some of them, they want to do better, but they're just not able to.
Yeah. I was looking at the requirements to getting into UB.
Oh, I was listening to that when we were coming in. You need 5 C and above, if that's for automatic.
I don't see that particular language on the website.
Sorry, I'm being very simple about it. 3 with math, English, and a science will get you eligible, unless they've changed it recently, for you still have to do college prep.
Oh, okay.
If you get the 3 math, English, and a science,
which must be why it's an important for them to outline that.
Yes, that was why. Like when you were saying it as it was coming in, I was like, they're mentioning that because the next line up to be, we can modify the qualifications to get the bursary award or whatever they call it now. But the fact remains, it's supposed to be 5 BGCSEs C and above, right? And our students, you literally have, I mean, this is sounding 7%.
But I mean, what I'm reading from this is if all of those 5, almost 6,000 people were thinking about a tertiary education, which they aren't, there's this very, very tiny fraction of them who could make it in.
Well, okay.
Like just like, yes, we got you. Yeah.
Like, because I used to work at admissions at UB as well, right? So, like, when you were saying the numbers, I was like, oh, okay, so that means that there are less than 700 persons who would qualify based off of that to get into UB automatically with funding. But the thing about it is, I'm still going back to how the young people are nurtured, are supported, and you made a very powerful point. Were they thinking about tertiary education?
Right.
The majority, and I'm just gonna put the private schools to the side right now, right? Let's look at the public schools. The majority of them that would have been eligible to go forward with tertiary education would have been the first in their households, right?
Yeah.
If we were to look at that, and again, I don't have labor force statistics or anything in the front of me to verify this, so this is supposition on my experience, but if I'm coming from a household that doesn't know the importance of a tertiary education or may have a stereotypical perspective on what the tertiary education means, then how or why would I support my child going forward with that? Further, if I'm inside a household that's already financially restricted or emotionally restricted or physically abusive, I can't focus on to the extent that I would want to.
Yeah.
To perform to the best of my abilities. I recall a young man during my time in one of the senior high schools, and he wanted to take the extra classes that we were trying to offer. He really wanted to, but he couldn't because he had to go and pack grocery. And he told me that go pack grocery, him and his little sister would starve because his mother didn't work.
Wow.
And then another young man in that same class, because they gave me the lowest stream to teach, he had said that he wouldn't get permission to do anything outside of standard hours. And I'm like, they want to, some of them, but they simply cannot. And if I tell you more stories about even during my time at COB, now UB, or whatnot, there are people on this island, in this country, who do not want to see their children do better than them. And I think that's a harsh reality. That's a harsh reality that we don't like to talk about, but it's there, especially inside our inner city areas. And for that, I literally, it was just, the first time I heard it, it broke my heart. And then the many times I heard that same rhetoric afterwards, I was like, this is so much more common. We don't talk about it.
That's wild. All right, we got some calls. Let's take some of these calls. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning. I like the way you're blending this morning.
No, thank you. Thank
you.
Particularly how you have an ace in the house.
Hey.
Leave that right there.
Love that.
But listen up, you're so right. This little flame that is supposed to be lit underneath the feet or underneath the thoughts or in the mind of a child, it's supposed to be done by a parent.
Yes.
All right? It just should be done by a parent. And when you go to school, you should be anxious to come home and show what you learned. I mean, this should be something that instills in you. I know a young lady who didn't have electricity for the 4 years. She didn't have electricity. She was in the 3-point-something. Now, got a light turned on. She's 2.0. She didn't have time to do anything else in the dark at night but to have a little candle and just regurgitating what she did in school when there was no electricity. Now the current is on. She's distracted. So we got to keep the consistency level up in these kids because the distraction is even more enormous now, with the media and all the stuff that they couldn't do, and now they could do it online, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm really enjoying the conversation. And, the thing is, I goofed around for 4 years, decided to get serious in the last year, got a 4.0 and everything, but still didn't get valedictorian because someone was consistent throughout the year. You see how important that is?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your call. Let's take this other call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Chester. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Everything good. Listen, I like when you host it because I think we could go a little beyond the surface. But check this out, Chester. I started to examine our educational system, and what I start to realize is that if every student in the Bahamas is to go on every year and go to UB and get a tertiary education, the jobs that they are given won't pay you on the basis of your academic accomplishments or accolades. For example, you could have a bachelor's and a master's degree, and if you go to apply to be, say, a gas station attendant, they're not going to say, "Wow, you have a master's, so I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year," right? So what I start to realize is that this educational system might be a fluke because you don't get paid on the basis of your intelligence, and those jobs that pay really well are only if they are few and far in between. So that's what we need to look at. That's one. Two, Chester, the field I am in, I am getting kids from private schools, Queens College, SAC. I'm getting kids from government school. And you want me to show you something? The kids from private school are underachieving, if not just as much, or even, in my opinion, worse, because their parents paying money for them to go to these schools, and they are flopping out, underachieving at a tremendous rate. Now, what I like to look at with this is that our educational system is more like a labeling system. We don't study things. We know how to point out things, like we know what psychology is. We know what sociology is. We know what they mean. But truthfully, we don't study nothing. So on that basis, you'll see that these kids, you have someone like I don't know if you're familiar with her. Her name is Big Sexy Red. Her name is Big Sexy Red, and she's a multi-millionaire right now. And I guarantee you, more students know about her than anything right now. I think these conversations are like ice cream on the top of like some type of false reality, rather than what is actually happening right now. And if we was to do real sociological studies, like countries, like a real country where we do the study and the research, we'll find out that some of these conversations shouldn't even be had. That's my vibe.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Let's take this next call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Pleasant good morning, Chester. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And to your co-host, I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry.
Deandra, good morning.
Hi, pleasant good morning, Deandra. A couple of things to this point with the conversation. I heard Deandra, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, say that she's found or heard where some parents don't want their children to move the mark, so to speak, from where they would have found themselves. And to that, I have to disagree a little bit. Culturally, I think as Bahamians, even the kids that left the islands to come to Nassau for work, it was almost like, not that it's right, but it's a part of our culture. You'd send stuff back home on the boat to your family. And I don't want to say it's across the board, but there are still a lot of Bahamian parents who, in investing in their kids, there's an expectation, albeit selfishly, that the kids will eventually take care of them. That's different in some other cultures. Your previous caller just now highlighted as far as the jobs that are available based on your academic accomplishments. And not that it's an excuse, but many of the individuals, tourism is our bread and butter industry.
Yeah.
Many of the individuals that hold the top roles don't particularly have the grade, in some instances, the experience or the academic accomplishments that they get the jobs for. So I think as we approach this conversation, maybe that's something for consideration. It's not just education. There are Bahamians at NASA doing amazing things all around the world in financial services and so many other industries, building other people's countries. Where's the motivation for them to say, and it's sad, not that it's an excuse, to really focus on, we're not selling that. We're not letting them know. You pay attention in school, you go to UB, or you decide to go abroad. If you want a nation build, there's something here for you, but you will also be rewarded accordingly.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, I think maybe we should include that aspect in the conversation as we discuss this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your call. The caller before him talked about, education in some instances maybe being a fluke because I don't know why he said this, but he's like, you could hold a bachelor or master's degree and go get a pump attendant job and still not get paid for your degree. Some jobs just have a pay scale that you're not going to go beyond. That's just the reality, no matter what degree you have. If you decide to take a job as a pump attendant and you have a master's degree, that's...
Well, the thing is, Chester...
Your choice.
No, it is. The thing is, Chester, I think what also needs to be considered is that just because you got a degree doesn't mean you'd automatically have a job, right?
Right.
Because a lot of persons would get degrees in overly saturated areas and then wonder why it's difficult to find a job or find a job at the pay scale that you want. Which is, that's another aspect I think we need to be taking with our children so they can find those areas that they perhaps are almost guaranteed to have a job because there's hardly anybody in it. If we look at, again, I love numbers statistically. We look at outside of accounting, the numbers game, really, you have less persons interested in those areas because culturally we hate math. Culturally we hate, it's almost like we've been conditioned to hate the sciences. And I'm like, it goes back to the point that one of the callers made. If you had, and this has always been a topic of discussion, if you had all 6,000, all nearly 6,000 students all pass, right? what would you do with so many high flyers? What would you do? But then we need to start thinking like that. What would we do if our students actually started performing and performing well? Or is our system, not just our educational system, but our employment system, our entrepreneurial system, ready for that type of pressure? And going back to one of the college points, I want to clarify, I didn't say that all parents are not interested. There are parents all around on each one of our islands that are making the deepest and heaviest investments into their kids. I am saying that there are some who do not care. Case in point, another one of my experiences. This young lady came from an inner city area. Again, she said that her mother, she was trying to get all of the paperwork in order to go to UB and whatnot like that. And she was told, and I'm going to see if I could say this in a way that, we don't get sanctioned. She was told by her mother that if doing a particular thing got her so far in life, why does her daughter think she's better than her to go and get a degree?
I see.
And that's not the first time I heard that. The thing is that I think we also need to take a step back and consider the reality of the environment that we are in is unfortunately not the same of others. And it's very difficult sometimes for us to comprehend, appreciate that others may be in more difficult positions than we will ever know. And I think a prime example of this would have been during COVID, where I think a lot of persons were unaware, I'm going to say unaware, that a lot of students were going to school for the only meal that they would have.
Yeah.
Like that was the only place that they know that they could get food. Right? Either from their friends or from one of the lunch programs, which has been going on for years, by the way. But outside of that, and we also don't like talking about it because our little darlings, we think, some of them are angels, but some of them have demons living in their homes. Because that was also happening during COVID, where it came to the forefront, and it wasn't just in the Bahamas. This was happening all around the world, where there were reports there was an increase of abuse in the household.
Yeah, wow.
Again, we need to take a step back. Our reality is not that of others, and if we truly knew what these young people, these children, are going through, then I think we'll be a little bit more compassionate and considerate. To say, well, Mado, that's why little Johnny ain't doing well in school. Now, I'm not negating the fact that some students just don't care. Some of them just don't care. And then we have to go back to try to understand from that perspective, if it could be understood, the psychological element. I mean, this thing is multifaceted. And again, it ain't just come around. This thing just started happening. We've been hearing about bad performance grades from when I was a child, so I guess it was going on before that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Read some of these text messages before we got to go to the break. This person says, the result of our acceptance of mediocrity both in our homes and our education system has resulted in key stakeholders in our bread and butter industry justifying the perpetual denial of ownership of our economy. Denying us ownership, I think that's what they're saying.
Okay.
The silver lining that the education minister attempted to highlight is not hope, it is an indictment and speaks clearly to our failure to impart the importance of the doors that a quality education can open for our future leaders and our country. All right. The same person said, good morning. It's been on several social platforms that it appears that data usage with a certain service provider appears to have changed regardless of usage. Which government entity would investigate that? Consumer Affairs, eh?
Yeah.
Good morning. Ms. Carter made her point clear. She never said all parents don't want their kids to succeed. She said something that was clear.
Okay, great. Yay.
Ms. Carter, this different person? Okay. Just means and others use their bodies. There's nothing wrong with different gifted individuals. And exchange ain't no robbery. Okay. Whatever.
I mean, unless you're trying to say let's legalize a particular thing, you don't want to have that conversation. Our country doesn't want to have that conversation. But that is happening. So and again, I'm not negating that that's happening, but we're talking about the educational system today.
This person says, good morning, and Chester and your guests. The politicians are at fault for most things happening in our country. When we were growing up, the parents knew how important it was. Parents coming to fight teachers at school is not a babysitting place. Oh, they just like condensed everything they had to say into the couple lines. But they started the whole morning off by saying, "Good morning, Chester. Treason is death by hanging on our books, and we need to start with some of these politicians and corrupted civil servants."
On a blessed Monday morning?
Right? Wow. I
Yo.
mean, somebody heard that. But things are difficult in this country, I must agree. And lots of calls coming in. We might run into the news, so call back, and we'll continue this discussion after that. We'll be back.
Leave other people things alone. There's other ways to get involved. Get involved, don't be no fool. Stay in school.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
RBC. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
And it's time for your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you. Seems we are still benefiting from schools being closed, and I guess a ton of people on vacation.
Yeah, man.
Glasson Road looking real good. You know, it's some traffic on the hill, heading down to John F. Kennedy Drive, but I'm sure that's flowing ever so slightly as it does. Some Alabama Highway traffic not backed up to Fire Trail Road, not even, it's about a third of the way, but it seems to be moving. There must be some traffic controls there at the moment. And on Tony Williams Darling Highway, traffic westbound building up. Other places looking fairly good for you. Traffic building up on Blue Hill Road, coming over the hill and just down, but it seems to be moving. Traffic starting to build on Carmichael Road at the intersection of Blue Hill Road, but not too bad at the moment. Those are your traffic hotspots. Summertime traffic. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you. It's time for your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Here's your weather for today. A weak lingering surface trough extends over the central Bahamas with weak high pressure to the north. This configuration will keep moisture elevated across the country. An upper level trough is positioned over the southeastern U.S., contributing to increased moisture from the southwest, instability, and potential convection across the Bahamas, enhancing the likelihood of daily thunderstorms particularly during afternoon hours. Swells generated by Ernesto, located far to the north, will continue to impact the Atlantic exposed waters, leading to rougher seas, sea conditions, and increased risk of rip currents. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to the moderate to large swells, particularly in the Atlantic exposed waters. There is a high risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed beaches. Safety guidelines: exercise caution when swimming, and be mindful of the heat, as high temperatures and humidity will result in dangerous heat indices. The full moon will result in higher than usual tides, potentially leading to minor coastal flooding in low-lying areas. For the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and humid, with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds south to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, with falling light and variable at times over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 7 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. For the central and southeast Bahamas, weather partly cloudy, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the central Bahamas. Partly to mostly sunny, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the southeast Bahamas. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, but falling light and variable at times in the central Bahamas, and east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the southeast Bahamas over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 6 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. Your high temperature today, 93 degrees Fahrenheit, 34 degrees Celsius. Your low temperature, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, with your heat index today being 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. We'll have your tropical weather outlook in the 8 o'clock hour.
Take that mess from off the wall. Give that baby back its ball. Leave other people things alone. There's other ways to get involved. Get involved, don't be no fool. Stay in school. Let your mind become a tool. Church were made for fools to be. Locked away from society. Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved. There's other ways to get involved. Get involved, get involved. Let's go. All right. Woo. Don't be no fool, stay in school. Let your mind become a tool. Jails were made for fools to be. Locked away from society. Get involved, get involved.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on Cable Bahamas 969, BTC Channel 612, and live on Facebook. And now at 8:21, it's time for your final look at this morning's weather, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. And your forecast for today, your general situation: a weak lingering surface trough extends over the central Bahamas with a weak high pressure to the north. This configuration will keep moisture elevated across the country. An upper level trough is positioned over the southeastern U.S., contributing to increased moisture from the southwest, instability, and potential convection across the Bahamas, enhancing the likelihood of daily thunderstorms, particularly during the afternoon hours. Swells generated by Ernesto, located far to the north, will continue to impact the Atlantic exposed waters, leading to rougher sea conditions and an increased risk of rip currents. Small craft operators should exercise caution due to moderate to large swells, particularly in Atlantic exposed waters. There is a high risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposed beaches. Beachgoers should remain vigilant, adhere to safety guidelines, exercise caution when swimming, and be mindful of the heat, as high temperatures and humidity will result in dangerous heat indices. The full moon will result in higher than usual tides, potentially leading to minor coastal flooding in low-lying areas. For the northwest Bahamas, weather partly cloudy to cloudy, hot and humid, with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Small craft operators should exercise extreme caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots, but falling light and variable at times over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 7 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. For the central and southeast Bahamas, weather partly cloudy, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the central Bahamas. Partly to mostly sunny, hot and humid, with a chance of isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the southeast Bahamas. Small craft operators should exercise extreme caution due to swells in the Atlantic exposed waters, gusty winds and higher seas, and reduced visibility in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots, with falling light and variable at times in the central Bahamas, and east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the southeast Bahamas over open waters. Seas 2 to 4 feet, but up to 6 feet in swells on the Atlantic exposure, and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere over the ocean. Your high temperature today, 93 degrees Fahrenheit, 34 degrees Celsius. Your overnight low temperature, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius. Your heat index today, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius. In your tropical look, Ernesto is expected to pass near southeastern Newfoundland by Tuesday, with swells affecting the Bahamas and U.S. East Coast for the next couple of days. No additional tropical cyclone formation is expected in the Atlantic Basin over the next 7 days. That was your weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. It's got you covered for all your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in-store today.
Living with a neurological condition shouldn't define.
And time again for your morning blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you. Traffic on Glasson Road, which is the hottest spot. Still not too bad. Traffic up the hill. Down and over now. As far as the service station. But not as bad as most mornings during school opening hours. Mile Butler Highway looking much better than before. Traffic on Tonic Williams Darling Highway as well has loosened up. So that should be a more favorable commute for you at the moment. Same thing for Blue Hill Road. Traffic is calm down there, but it built up just a little bit on Carmichael Road at the intersection of Blue Hill Road. But that is flowing. Everywhere else looks pretty good for your commute this morning. That's your Morning Blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
Neurological condition shouldn't define you. At Cleveland Clinic in Florida, we do whatever it takes to make life better today while discovering new treatments for a brighter tomorrow. From epilepsy management to specialized spine care and brain tumor surgery, we're delivering world-class neurology care for the day-to-day, for the days you live for every care in the world. Visit clevelandclinicflorida.org/Caribbean.
Est-ce que vous connaissez ou fait j'aime sida? Pas de aucune raison pour ça. Tesla gratis et li confidentiel. Ou capable faire Tesla gratis dans n'importe côté ça yo m'appelle cité là. Allez dans Clinique South Beach, Clinique Flamingo Gardens, Clinique Fleming Street, Clinique Elizabeth State, dans Grand l'hôpital Princess Margaret avec dans Centre Virus Sida Jardin Royal Victoria. Et puis Tesla gratis et li confidentiel dans clinique qui dans zile yo tout. Qui ça wap tan? Li bon pour connaître ou faire j'aime sida. Al faire Tesla.
A message from the Pan-American Health Organization and the HIV/AIDS Center, Ministry of Health.
Craving something delicious and freshly made? Dunkin' has got you covered all day your way. From savory sausage, egg and cheese to crispy bacon, ham, and even tuna, our sandwiches are made to order just for you. Choose your favorite. Bagels, croissant, toast, or muffin. Whatever you want, we've got it. Whether it's a classic grilled cheese or a hearty club, your perfect sandwich is just a bite away. Dunkin's fresh, made-to-order sandwiches made all day your way. Only at Dunkin'. The Bahamas runs on Dunkin'.
We're gonna give you a check every week for a year. Percy's Pension Plan. Island game, keep you winning. Percy's Pension Plan. Dream big, we will help you live it. Percy's Pension Plan. Island game, we got you. Percy's Pension Plan. From the friends you can trust. If winning is a must, go play the game you know, cause your best chance is with us. The most trustworthy name is Percy's Island Game. So put 20 on your account and ride this easy train at Percy's Island Game.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Shop early to get your uniforms and catch Janae's Uniform Center's buy 4 get 1 free sale. Free monogrammed and regular school shirts, dry fit and cotton polos, jumpers, skirts, boys long and short pants, PE shorts, underclothes, tights, socks, neckties, belts, sleeping mats, hair accessories, and character work desk. Get 50% off backpacks, lunch bags, and raincoats. Buy 4 school shirts, get 1 free. Buy 2 skirts, jumpers, or pants, get the third 50% off. Need embroidery and monogramming done? Visit Janae's Uniform Center early. Beat the back to school rush. Janae's Chesapeake Road back to school special. Restrictions apply.
Tell them
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is ours. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello. This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Islands.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
We're back here with Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. I'm Chester Robart, sitting in for Dwight Strachan, along with Deandra Cartwright. This morning we're talking about the national exam results. I did want to just quickly touch on some other things. There's bipartisan support for the National Development Plan, but that's kind of always been the case. No, we have a headline that says it's bipartisan support. This suspect in this heist who didn't show up for trial. The story doesn't say why he didn't show up for trial, but as most people would know, the other suspects in that case are all dead now.
Yeah.
All killed this year.
You know, they claim it's a conspiracy.
Yeah. And it's connected to some
right.
police
Which is probably why the other person
stuff
decided not to show up, because then the stones would be complete.
There's a lot going on with that. I don't really want to talk too much about that because anyway. But so there's this National Development Plan thing. I thought to myself when I saw the invite from the Inter-American Development Bank for this seminar they had on the National Development Plan.
Yeah, it was last Friday, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, why is the IDB having a seminar for us to jumpstart our National Development Plan?
Well, perhaps the story tells us why. I have my own thoughts.
I don't think it does. But
I have my own thoughts, but I think what people tend to forget, because it's not talked about, national development plans are highly encouraged by all countries around the world.
Yeah.
And so IDB is a regional entity. The UN also encourages those. And we also, technically, our country promised to get one done. Just saying, according to our commitment to the SDGs. Yeah. So it helps that we have regional support. Now, when it comes to writing one, then they shouldn't be.
And it made me wonder because I was looking at it at some point. Now, we haven't used it in, was it 14 years? In the 14 years since it was presented in draft form.
Because that's why they're calling it bipartisan now, because it's always been politicized. That's a problem.
Yeah, I guess so. But we haven't kind of used it. The Progressive Liberal Party government used it in their blueprint for change. They used some parts of it. But I guess we could look at how closely they've stuck to the things that they put from the National Development Plan into their blueprint for change.
I did an analysis on that early last year.
Yeah.
Not very
not very sticky.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, there were some key points. I'll give them that. But if you're looking at the plan broad spectrum, it's like you could have done so much more.
Yeah. I should, now that we're talking about education, I should go and look at what the National Development Plan says about education.
I think there's a whole section on it. Dr. Virgil, Roll, and the entire team, they did a lot of work with it. But this is, anyway, the NDP is something that's a bit touchy for me because it's similar to the gender policy, to the gender-based violence plan. So much work has been put into guiding documents, policy documents, just for them to be tossed to the side.
Yeah.
And the NDP, I think, was, and I could be corrected, but it was one of the largest projects ever taken on to guide this country. I think I remember hearing that outside of the 20-year plan that Sir Lyndon had put into place when he first came in, that this was the most substantive document outside of that. And perhaps that's why it got politicized so very much, because outside of the National Development Plan, what other document has such a scope other than the political documents that come out during campaigns, which are tailored of that political party? And not for the entire country. And so I think that was also a perspective, unfortunately, that was taken, and why it would have been so politicized, because if it comes out under one government, then the other government doesn't take it on. And so I guess, there are lots of persons and entities at fault here, but this isn't anything new. With most policies and actions that have taken place under a particular administration, if there is a change in government, which we've been doing it a lot in recent years, changing up administrations every election cycle, then almost everything gets tossed out of the window. And then new things come along, and it's almost like we wonder why change doesn't occur as we want to see it. But a policy it should not be changing off of political whim if it's truly a technical policy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. This person said, I thought UB was open today. Schools aren't all closed. UB?
What?
UB's create trafficking.
No, I mean, at some points in the day with the walking across the road, that's why they put the traffic light up there. But I just think that light down by by they call it Calm now, I think. But right up from the Hope Center, across from where, I think the Reef Restaurant, that you sit on that light for a long time.
Bad sometimes.
Right. So that's where I see the traffic coming from.
Yeah.
And then also when you got your lines from McDonald's and Wendy's blocking up that same thing, and then you try to go down the next street. If you go out during lunchtime, you got KFC block up. So no, don't. This ain't as bad as other parts.
There's a text message praising you a lot. Hopefully I could read this.
Oh, Lord.
Happy Monday morning, Electric Carchester, a.k.a. EV Carchester. And a special good morning to you, Deandra Cartwright. Regarding this great average, blah, blah, over these more than 15 to 20 years, Deandra, you are the only one in all these years that hit the relevant multiple nails on the head. Nails others have been missing all these many years. Deandra, I'm glad you're on primetime radio now.
Oh, Lord.
Also, I agree with your caller. Kareem Hanschel said, keep it up, Deandra, keep it up. Kareem Hanschel. Okay.
Why, thank you, Kareem Hanschel. But right. I'm happy that the people are actually seeing it, though. If we had more, and perhaps that's what we need to do. We need to have, when we're having the discussion about grades, let's bring on the experts. Perhaps we can do that here on this show, where we have the psychologists come in. We hear from the guidance counselors. We hear from the sociologists. We hear from our law enforcement agencies. We hear from our conflict resolutionists about what truly is going on.
Yeah.
Within our communities. I promise you, a lot of people will have your minds blown. I was during the break, I was telling Chester some things behind the scenes, and it was almost like he was shocked, because honestly, it is so sad what some of our young people go through, and we we don't want to acknowledge it. I wonder if I can find it while we.
Yeah, we can take these calls and you can.
Yeah,
look
I'm
for
going to
it.
find this poem. It's called "If I Only Had a Pencil."
Oh. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend. Caller, you there? No. Let's take this one. Good morning. No, they all gone. All right. Call back if you had to go. I was just looking at the National Development Plan, at the headings under education. And so you got funding for education, which I think they've improved ever so slightly. Teacher training and quality assurance. I don't know where they're going with that. Education infrastructure. I have to look and see what that encompasses. Universal preschool education, I think
Yes.
they've made that free, right? In some
It
instances?
is accessible, yes, but
Yeah.
it's unfortunately there's not enough of them.
Yeah. Improve basic education.
Sometimes that's
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah. Promote STEM education. I don't know.
I don't know if I've seen so much
on
of
the public
that.
side, there's a lot of that going on.
I don't.
Maybe the private side, but
Now the thing is that the public schools do have programs to call them. Some of them are magnet schools, right? And so they have particular specialized programs. C.R. Walker is one, C.V. Bethel is one, I think Government High is one. I forget the others, but there are several of them, and they're tailored towards particular areas. I think C.R. Walker is one of the STEM schools, so you go there to study a particular.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you got special education, higher education, technical and vocational education, work readiness, and closing the learning gaps between boys and girls.
Well, that was a point made by one of our callers to say, and in the story as well, about the disparity between the grades of boys and girls.
Yeah.
I found the poem, by the way.
Oh, okay. Let's take these calls and then we read it. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Chester.
Good morning.
And Deandra Cialan Johnson.
Morning.
You know, what happens is, and in fact, I would say our National Development Plan, education, and human capital development regime are all tied into each other. And one of the most important aspects, and I've been a strong advocate of this for 20 years, is that we have failed to develop a versatile education system that actually adapts to each of our students' changing abilities. We fail to combine them with the modern technologies, like combining the technology with traditional teaching, right, across all levels of education, straight to university. I believe, as a person that, with quite a bit of children, that the primary goal of education is to cultivate not just skills, but confidence and lifelong passion for learning. Now, if you look at our human capital development regime in the Bahamas for the last 20 years and the advancement of technology, we have not kept the pace. Our education plantation is rooted in 20th century skills, using 19th century processes. We have failed to look at education where we assess our children's ability, develop their skills, use technology to adjust the learning where each child grows and is taught at their own level, provide help for the teachers, utilizing AI and the rest of things, track their progress from beginning to end. But when you come to the National Development Plan, I was a strong critic of the National Development Plan because even then I felt that it did not prepare us for the 21st century. And even, I don't want to say I told you so, but for those who heard me from Guardian first started talking with the energy sector and the fact that the technology doubles about every 18 months or even less now, and each time technology doubles, so does the need for energy. And I said by 2025 that we would exceed the capacity, our current capacity that we have. But we are good at talking and planning and writing, and having desks and full drawers full of plans. But with AI, even today now, gives us an opportunity to take all those plans all the way back to pre-independence and even right now and put them as a central database and question what can we do. But first, here's the problem, Dwight and Deandra, is we have to know as a country where we want to go what we want to be and the economies that we want to have. Not just from the topical thing, because we've heard about the knowledge economy, the aquamarine, the green, the blue, the ocean, the orange, climate economy, AI economy, all these different things. These are good buzzwords. But no one has told us how to break them down individually, because each one of those economic models have subsectors. And in fact, the aquamarine economy combines many of them into one unified economy. And we use these buzzwords, and we call everything innovation, logically advanced. And even when we talk about developing an economy, I don't know, you guys must have heard for the last decade or more, we talk about a digitized economy, a digital Grand Bahama. Have you heard about that yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, here's the problem. We go and we get software, and we get Wi-Fi devices or routers off the shelf, and we think that you bring them to the Bahamas, and then you invite the company that created them to come to the Bahamas to use them. That is not digitization of an economy. And so what we do is we get people that get research, they Google and say, oh, we just have to get this people and these companies here. There has to be a strategy, a 21st century strategy for the digitization, digitalization, datification, and even for the digital transformation of our economy. The digital transformation is the people. It's developing a culture of the 21st century. And, I mean, we are literally fallen behind, and COVID has accelerated the advancement towards these technological advancement. And in fact, what his name is, Donald Trump, he started one even before COVID, where he started a battle for digital supremacy across the world. And you will never guess the Bahamas plays a crucial role in the move towards that digital supremacy from almost 8 years ago. But what happens is we can't keep going back to the same people on the same committee, asking the same questions and expecting the different results. Yeah. This requires leadership that understands that they may not know it, but there's people around them, people within the country, and people outside of the country, that is actually not just talking about these things, they're actually living these things. And I'm going to end saying this, right? When you go back to the 80s, a Bahamian was in the room when the design for the first laptop was designed. Dr. Matthew Rose, the MP for St. Barnabas, had a twin brother, not because he's deceased, but a twin brother still alive, that was at one company called Burroughs and others that developed the first laptop. There are people that was at IBM. I happen to be one of them. My twin happened to be one of them. And I could give you a dozen or more Bahamians that was involved in the technological advancement from the internet in 1983 to Wi-Fi in 1996 to the World Wide Wide in 92, and etc. And so we don't lack the ability. We just simply lack the cohesiveness, the inclusivity that calls for all participation for us to design a new and better Bahamas. And I pray, it's been 20 years in my advocacy, I pray that we are at the point that we realize that we've been doing a lot of talking, but talking doesn't develop the country. And hopefully this time, the National Development Plan will be more than a book of plans. It has to be the ability to be implementable and adjustable. And just to look what China does. You have a National Development Plan for 30 years, 40 years, but every single year, you should have if you have a 30-year plan, on the 1st of January, you should have a 30-year plan. Next January, you should have a 30-year plan. The next January. So it has to be dynamic, not some book of ideas that's unimplementable, and nobody can tell you how, when, where. Nobody can tell you the who, the what, the which, the when, the where, the why, or even the how. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's going to be important, right? I guess we have to do things in small bites and small, unfortunately, small chunks, right? Because as I look at the National Development Plan and some of the things that in education, I'm looking at the education section, some of the things that they want to do, improve teacher-student ratios. You need more teachers, you know. how's that output, looking? They have this. I'm looking at the STEM program thing. I mean, there's some things that need a lot of work to be done, for them to come to fruition. And who's going to do it?
It can't just be one person, one set of persons. This is a multi-sectoral approach, and it's also not a short-term fix. This is long-term.
But it's gonna expose the inefficiencies in government departments again. Part of why certain things don't operate the way they should here is that a lot of people doing a little bit that don't make for good progress in a country, and especially on something like this that we, again, I said 14 years for some reason, right? I meant 8. This has been around for 8 years.
Yeah.
And nobody's really used it. No government has really used it to follow. Again, it was just a draft. It's not the working edition. So I imagine some things will have to be changed moving forward.
A lot of things have to be changed because I think also when you read the fine print, it's also talking about 2030. We're now in 2024.
2040.
Right. No. So some of the SCG, it's linked to the SCGs, and the SCGs are linked to 2030.
Right. Yeah.
So we're 6 years away from that. So lots of modifications required.
Yeah. Let's take this next call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend.
Good morning, Chester. Good morning, Deandra.
Good morning.
I just want to say this very rapidly. First and foremost, let me thank C. Allen Johnson just now for his presentation. He has said a lot more than a mouthful that a lot of persons actually perhaps have not taken the time this morning, in particular, as he was saying what he said, to absorb the essence of what he was expressing. First and foremost, he's absolutely correct. There are many friends of mine who were at IBM here in the Bahamas that has helped to pioneer some of the things that we see today in technology, especially in UC in the Bahamas. I have several friends from there. I've learned a lot from them. I believe you talk about the 30-year or the NDP for the Bahamas in its current form. I am one of those that believe that even though the NDP is there, if you don't get the stakeholders, i.e., the average Bahamian, in with these plans to help to develop the plans going forward, and I mean, you don't need a PhD or college degree to do this, but just average, ordinary persons with the talent and knowledge that God has given them. Because some of us walk around with talents out of this world that did not come from a university or a tertiary education standpoint, but because it was instilled in us. Until we get the Bahamian people involved in these processes, there will be no success in them. And this is something we keep on advocating to our leaders. The leaders are supposed to be visionary, but if they're visionary and then they get their people involved in the processes, then you'll get the success that we want for this country. It is so unfortunate that we have so many persons such as what I'm describing here that wants to contribute to nation building in our own little right, in our own little way. And it also has something, whether you believe it or not, their contribution still has to do with the NDP, the National Development Plan. If you don't get your persons involved, we are not going to be successful with no matter what plan they put forward. We have to fix the situation. Lastly, I'll close on this point. Does it seem like today that our children spend less time in the classroom with all these holidays and stuff that comes up than what we used to do back in the day? Doesn't it seem strange? And doesn't it seem strange that there may be a correlation, whereas you talk about the national grade average? If the children aren't in the classrooms as long as we did, because I can tell you, the children in the 70s and 80s, we were very successful in the sciences, very successful in higher education. However, today, if this thing is being addressed again as if we are trying to reinvent the wheel, as if our grades have gone down because the children are not spending sufficient time in books or trying to really matriculate through the educational system, and you still come out with a 2.0 or 1.3 or whatever, then it simply tells you that obviously the method or the educational system that we are utilizing here is still broken. We need persons in this place who is really serious about educating our people, elevating them to the next level where we can have a prosperous advancement of our people in a 22nd century Bahamas. These things must be done. But thank you for allowing me to give my contribution this morning. And I'm really seriously hoping that we get away from these political parties, the mantras of these parties, and focus on how we as a people are going to advance our country forward, upward, and onward together as a people. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Absolutely. You want to read that poem?
Sure.
We talked about it.
So it's called 'Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil by Joshua T. Dickerson. I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. Dug in the dirty clothes basket 'cause ain't nobody washed my uniform. Brushed my hair and the teeth in the dark 'cause the lights ain't on. Even got my baby sister ready 'cause my mama wasn't home. Got us both to school on time to eat us a good breakfast. Then I got to class to teach a fuss 'cause I ain't got a pencil.
Oh, boy. Wow. There's somebody, a text messenger saying parenting is the issue with a lot of what's going on.
Agreed.
This person says, good morning. Why don't y'all have time limits on y'all callers? Like 2 minutes maximum. A lot of them are long-winded and repeat callers.
Oh, my.
Just joining. Where do you find the National Development Plan? I Googled it, and then then it has a website that comes up. So there's a National Development Plan website. Morning, had to say this joke. Your voice don't match your Thank you. I wonder if that's that person who I met over the weekend.
Oh, goodness.
This person said, read David and Goliath. You don't need smaller classes. You need better teachers and better equipped and patented students. Patented.
I guess we're creating robots. Patented.
Read David. Okay. You don't need smaller classes. You need better teachers. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we can come up with some data that's already been done on the sizes of classrooms versus the ability of a teacher to teach.
This person says, I love that poem. So true. This person says, if smaller class sizes is the key, students in Acklands and Rumkey would be the top students in the country. Aren't they, some of them?
I mean, not to brag, but
I mean, the news report was a kid from Spanish Wells.
Yeah, got all of the highest with BJCs. But some of our Family Island public schools are the best performing.
Yeah.
So
especially one in Long Island.
I was going to say, I was trying not to brag earlier. I caught myself and I was like, wait, let's talk about Spanish Wells first. Then we get back to the NGM major high school that has consistently had very high performance in the BGCSE and BJC respectively, on par with some of the private schools on this Capital Island. Just saying, putting that out there.
Just putting it out there.
And I will again.
FYI.
FYI. Just so you know. I mean, there will never be a show I come on, but y'all ain't gonna know. Long Island is my people. That's my place. But I actually wanted to talk just a little bit more about that, right? Family Island students, and we're talking about sizes of classrooms, teachers, the home environment, things like that. But we also have to take into context the inaccessibility of certain courses, certain subjects to our Family Island students, right? So if we take,
like what?
If we take, for instance, we go to Long Island, but I've seen that this is the case in other islands as well. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to study chemistry, I cannot because there's no chemistry lab, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the case in a lot of our Family Island classrooms. Now, what if I I'm doing well in all of my other subjects, but I needed that chemistry so I could go study a particular subject, a certain degree program at the University of the Bahamas.
Right.
Because I didn't have a chemistry lab, therefore I couldn't actually do chemistry. I couldn't sit the chemistry BGCSE. Now I got to go do college prep at UB. That taking time, right?
Yeah.
And then depending on what prep subjects are, they may not cover that in whichever scholarship that I may have been able to get, which means I'm paying for extra things just to get to where I want to be.
Right.
All because it's not offered at my school.
Right.
And this isn't just a case for like chemistry. You'll have, because languages, music, some of the specialty, quote unquote, specialty areas are just simply not offered because you don't have you don't have the teachers for it. I mean, for goodness sakes, we still have some of our Family Island students who are having to use, and thank God for technology, they're having to use technology in order to be able to access subjects because they simply don't have a math teacher, they don't have an English teacher, so they're doing school virtually because they have none. And that's a reality. We're not talking about that either.
Wow. We're gonna take a break and we'll be back with Morning Blend with us. We'll take those calls on the other side. We'll be right back.
Rodney and CB march round with the signs, but you never check for them, you never join in the line. A solution to crime, it ain't hard to find. It starts with you and me and he and she and they and I. It starts with I.
RBC. RBC will find the right loan for all of you with competitive rates and extended terms to suit you. Whether it's for debt consolidation, your next vehicle, or home purchase, sometimes we all need a little more. No matter the reason for the loan, we're here to help you find the solution. RBC. RBC has all the loans for all of you. Let's start with a conversation today.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Atlantic Insurance Agents and Brokers. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Try to rest, roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of...
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. It is Monday, August 19th. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Again, I'm Chester Robards filling in for Dwight Strachan. Deandra Cartwright is with me. And we're going to switch gears. We're going to just finish off this conversation about education and the national, I mean, it kind of ties in to business in some way, shape, or form. But we're going to.
In every way, shape, or form, because these are for future members of our workforce, whether they be employees or entrepreneur. Goodness, my tongue tied. I need stronger coffee. But business owners, right? Yeah. And it's what they're exposed to at school that will help them to have a mindset of how they want to build up our economy, right?
Absolutely.
And just putting it out there for those of you who are listening or just joining us, we're not advocating that, it's all about academics, but that's what our country measures in the absence of any other type of measurement, right? But also we have to acknowledge that not all students are academically inclined. Some of them are technically inclined, but do they have access to those different forms of learning?
Yeah.
Going into the business side of things, if you teach a young person a trade, and I think that's something that we've lost, because back in my grandparents' days, before then, you would have learned from somebody a trade that you can work with for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But we've evolved culturally to the point where we think having a trade is something to look down on.
Yeah.
Like if you're a farmer, people think less of you. If you're a plumber, people think less of you. And again, this is generalized statement, not everybody. But I have heard these things and I'm like, it don't even matter which part of society. So we talking about the well-paid ones, because I know what some of y'all can say. It could be, a certain type of person who's thinking that. No, we talking about boys on the block, some thinking the same type thing. Because they have to justify that, yeah, man, I doing this trade right here, but I just make my money off of that.
Yeah. There are plumbers who are better paid than some people in the financial services field.
There are plumbers whose house calls cost more than a visit to the doctor, but they're that good, right? Yeah. So, and you have electricians. Like, how many persons are trying to get inside of these different fields? Are those avenues open to our young people so that they have a trade? Yeah. Going back to one of the previous callers' points, talking about if you were to have a skilled, and we're going to say skilled, an educated and or skilled young person, really compensate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But our economy needs them. Is this the reason why we're reaching out of our country to get experts in certain areas? Yeah. But in the same token, on the flip side of that coin, we always say that we need that foreign person to train our people.
Yeah.
But are we giving them the platform to be trained in the first place so that they have some sort of baseline knowledge of the subject area? I mean, come on. I think we just need to shift our mindset when it comes to that. Like, a mechanic's work is honorable. A plumber's work is honorable. Like, these are the people who make our countries move. And we saw that during COVID. We called these persons our essential workers. Yeah. We raised them up. But yet, when things get back to normal, but no, man, I need somebody else who's doing something, who's doing more with their life. No.
Yeah. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend Business.
Good morning, Chester and Ms. Cartwright, right?
Yes.
Well, I'll put a positive spin on the educational system this morning.
Good.
As a proud parent that assisted his son, his first time taking the BJC exams, he took 8 and passed all 8. The lowest grade he got was in Spanish, which was a D. And the highest grade he got was in mathematics, which was an A. Nice. So I think sometimes as parents, we can't put all the strain on the teachers. We have to take time to help our kids during their hardest time of studies, okay? Yeah. We have to help break it down so they can understand the language much more better as far as school work, Yeah. And you have to give your kids sometime an incentive. Say, listen, if you do this, I will assist you with that. I mean, as far as, during the summer period, if you give them a challenge, say, listen, if you get 5 A's or 3 A's, I'm going to give you a trip or something, they'll do much better.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think the educational system is all bad. It's just that we have to, as parents, have to put more effort into it. So at the age of 14 and passing all 8, that's a good thing.
Congratulations to your son.
We can't expect, like you guys say, we can't expect for all kids to be academically inclined, but by now, at the age 14, you should know if your child is academically inclined or not.
Exactly.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. And
congratulations again. Felicitaciones a tu hijo.
Good job. This person says, "Good morning, Chester and your guests. I endorse all the sentiments of the persons who realize and have observed that parents are the pivotal aspect of their children's education. Students who excel are the students with the direct parental involvement." And that seems to be the theme of the morning. No matter what you say about the exam results and teachers and the education system, everybody seems to agree that parents need to be involved.
I'm pretty sure if I go on here right now, I can find you statistics to support that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right.
But, at the end of the day, you have to want to do that, right? You as parents have to want to be involved in your child's life. You have to want your child to do better. You have to want to go to PTA meetings. You have to want to know what that child learned that day. You have to want that relationship with your child so that they know, that child knows that they matter to you and how they perform matters to you, that they have some sort of foundation to feel as though it matters. Because that's, we tend to look at this very clinically, right? We're looking at the grades, but we're not looking at the person. We're not looking at the child. These at their core, they are children. When a child is born, they are literally fresh to be imprinted on when it comes to their way of thinking, of their outview on life or whatnot. So they are looking to you as their parents. We always blame society, but we're not looking at inside the house, because outside of school, and school is 9 to 3, your child is spending the majority of their time at your house with you at home. So what are you teaching them? You have them their entire life. They only know you. So where are they picking up the bad habits from or the good habits from? Yeah. The caller was just so proud of his child. And he was there investing into his child. Yeah. And sometimes we think that that's all about money, but come on, no, man. You just being there for that child, showing up for that child means so much for them. Do you know at graduations, you know how many children, I attended a few this last June. I actually saw children catch the bus themselves, by themselves, graduation, knowing that there was no one there to cheer for them. They didn't even bother to look around. And I was like, do you know what that is to feel from that early age? That the people who brought you into this world, who are supposed to support you, don't. But by the time, and this was a junior high school graduation, if you already conditioned with the fact that your people don't care, then why should you? As a child, like having to push yourself hard. Alternatively, there was also a summer, one of the summer camps that I had the privilege of, not working at, but having to be there almost like in the mornings and the evening times and whatnot. And what I saw, there was this one fellow, right? He walked himself to that camp every morning. He walked himself there, and you could see as he was walking.
Oh, you told me about this.
Yeah, he was trying to self-motivate. Yeah. And his team ended up winning the grand prize.
Yeah.
Because he had the drive. He was pushing himself. But how many other young people, our young men, our young women, are able to push themselves in the absence of having that supportive environment at home?
And that was a STEM camp.
Yes. Yes. Which, by the way, a lot of people still didn't know about, even though the organizers did try their best to advertise. And then that goes back to what we as a people prioritize, right? We can make so many different things go viral, except for the positive stuff, except like how we're talking about, and this is why we're trying to balance it out with the good this morning in the discussion, right? We can talk about the negatives with the grades inside the paper, whatnot, but we also want to highlight that there are young people who are trying, who are doing. You can't talk about one without the other. But how do we bring the other up? How do we bring those who are not performing to the best of their abilities up? And me and Chester could sit here and we could talk about this all day, and we could have people calling in and talking about this all day. But at the end of it all, it goes back to the house. It goes back to the home. It goes back to whoever is inside there responsible for those children. We can't tell you we could suggest to you what to do, but we can't force you to do it. You
Yeah.
got to want to.
Absolutely. This texter says, good morning, just tuning in. Any honest living is honorable, and you're right. Trades pay more than many professions. But students, especially in government schools, are trained to get jobs, especially in tourism. Entrepreneurship usually arises out of unemployment in our setting. The experts are brought in because we allow the foreign conglomerates to do it. When they don't train Bahamians, we say nothing. Then everyone hires foreigners from developing countries to deprive us of faith pay while living in an expensive country. All of us need to want more and do more to make things better for our children. And I had a meltdown this weekend over a lot of what this text is talking about. I mean, foreigners, we just love to bring foreigners in to do things, and then the foreigners come and they start things that other Bahamians are already doing, and they already have resources, so those things take off. And now the Bahamian guy who had the great idea but then got copied by the foreigner is left in the dust because they have resources, right? And we pretty much don't here have easy access or any at all.
But that's a harsh reality. It really is. And it goes back to, I think we discussed this we didn't go into depth about it. It was more like a fleeting thought in a conversation, I think, when Dr. E was on, right? About the mindset that we have unconsciously and subconsciously to always put foreign above ourselves. To always think that foreign is better. And then to take it a step further, to think those who look differently than us, or who looked like those who oppressed us before, ingrained in us. And in some instances, we're still bringing up our children to think the very same thing.
Yeah.
So we have to, when I say we have to change our minds, I'm really, when I say that, I'm talking about broad spectrum. This isn't one part of ourselves. We have to take deep dives.
And the thing is, it's crazy. And again, like Texas were saying this morning, there are things that are preserved, that are supposed to be preserved for Bahamians, that we allow foreigners to come in and under the table kind of get their hands on. I think public relations is one of those things that is supposed to be reserved for Bahamian companies. I mean, you even got political parties using foreign PR firms and these kinds of things, right? You got... And then when they come in, guess who they need help from? The local PR firms, because they don't know anything about anything going on in the Bahamas.
I think there were a couple snafus with a few of the fast food restaurants about that or whatnot. It was quite comical because it's like, had y'all actually consulted the locals, then y'all would not have made that mistake that you've already printed and we have seen. But again, if it's coming from leadership, if it's coming from those in position that are doing it, it goes back to the conditioning. If he don't think we're good enough, then why should we?
Right, exactly. Yeah. This person's good morning, I guess, Damien Chester and co-host. Please let the Ministry of Education, this is for you, Deandra. Please let the Ministry of Education send an English teacher to NGM major in Long Island. Year 2, no teacher. Also a math teacher, like you said. I salute the students who excelled in spite of doing everything virtual in these subjects. Wow.
You remember we were talking about this during the break, and I brought it on air. And I'm thank you to the texter for giving us the reality, because sometimes people think that I just be talking off the top of it. No, NGM, and I know this because obviously Long Island has not had several teachers in key areas for quite some time. And it's not a situation that's just unique to NGM. This is outside of what Chester and I were discussing about not having a chemistry lab, so you can't offer the course of chemistry. We're talking about English teachers that is mandatory for entry to the University of the Bahamas. We are talking about mathematics that is mandatory for the entry to the University of the Bahamas. So when you have students who are unable to sit those subjects because they have not been taught those subjects, what are we doing to attract more teachers in that area so that they want to go to the Family Islands? the students are doing the best as they can to learn virtually. And again, this is not just about Long Island. A lot of our family islands are going through this.
Yeah.
How are we expecting those students to basically teach themselves? And why isn't there more public outrage about this? The absence of teachers. But then again, when you look at, you know how many teachers, and I wish that we could, I don't know if education actually has statistics on this. They probably have it, they probably do, and I'd be interested to see if they'll actually release it, on how many teachers have exited the system in the last, I want to say 5 years, so we could trend it, right? Because I know so many teachers in the last 2 years, 3 years that have left education to pursue paths in other industries.
Wow. Let's take this call coming in, yeah. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Morning Blend Business.
Good morning, Belinda Wilson, president of the Bombers Union of Teachers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I woke up to hear your voices and I just couldn't help myself.
Well,
but I want to,
yeah.
first of all, congratulate the students, not only in the public schools, but the private schools, because those results are a combination of both for their successes. And I want to thank the teachers who work very hard throughout the year. They do tutoring, they do extra classes on Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, etc. And I want to thank those parents who support their children. But it behooves me, though, that every year you have ministers of education who are not technocrats, who are not educators, who painstakingly sit down trying to explain the results of BJC and the BGCSE. It makes no sense to continue to do that annually. What I knew that we took the GCE in the 1970s, and the BJCs in the 1970s was targeted to, there would be 15 to 20% of the students who would really be successful in the BJC and the BGCSE, in the GCEs. And the BJC and the BGCSEs that came on stream in 1993. It's the same thing. So what I'm trying to find out is, why is the Ministry of Education every year regurgitating that which we can read instead of them focusing on revising the curriculum, ensuring that schools have adequate teachers, investing more in teacher training and professional development, giving our students intervention. We know that there are gaps. There's an educational gap. There's a learning gap. There's learning loss since the pandemic, etc. So why aren't we shoring up intervention in schools? There are special needs students who are sitting in classrooms as if everything is normal or regular. They need to be diagnosed, and they need to be given the special education training that they need. I don't know if you all know that we have some schools that has heterogeneous groupings. So you would have a student who may be A ability in the same classroom or subject as one who may be an F ability. So that is called heterogeneous grouping. We need to look more at homogeneous groupings, where you have your A and B students together, you have the C and D students together, you have those that are lower together where they would be taught where they're at. We have teachers that spend their funds every year. They go to various conferences. They're doing their bachelor's degrees, their master's degrees, their PhDs. We're not using those teachers to make sure that the strategies that they're learning and these various things that they're learning, the data that they're collecting every day from the children's quizzes, from examinations in school, from their coursework, etc. These are the things, the data that we should be using to base on not just examinations, the holistic part of our students. I am sick and tired of our ministers of education going to international conferences, not understanding what is being discussed, and then they come back and try to implement things in our educational system that they don't even understand. They don't understand what the best practices are. They want to come and adopt things, but they don't understand that those governments have been testing, have been researching these information. They've been benchmarking things for years and years. They have invested and put funds behind the programs that they can come now to these conferences and say, hey, we've been successful in this. There's no academic freedom for our teachers. Everybody is strapped on, you have to teach this at this level, at this time, and you're evaluated on this. We need political interference to be out of education. We need persons who are promoted and recommended for promotions to be those who are capable, able, and the best of the best. Listen, there is so much work to be done in education, and I just sit every year and I marvel at how a minister wants to explain the results of the BJC and the BGCSE when there are so many variables that impact the results.
Tell me something. You mentioned changing the curriculum. I know we've heard that for a very long time. And they go on these trips to Europe and stuff and go and view systems and stuff. Are you guys a part of those kinds of trips? And then what happens with that information when they come back? Do you know?
We're not a part of it. I know we've been a part of the education ministers' meetings, and there was a meeting held earlier this year, and the minister and the director of education, they attended, but there's also a teachers' segment of that ministers' meeting. We were not invited. We were not informed. We heard the information that they have traveled to this conference. However, when we've gone to conferences before, the excitement is at the conference. The Bahamian ministers are speaking, like, oh, we're doing this in the Bahamas, we're doing that in the Bahamas, and it's only for that time. And when we get back, then they're not implementing or putting even the funding behind the various programs. For example, we went to a conference in around 2015. So you would have heard about the MDG goals. I know that Cartwright, DeAndre would know about the MDG goals. So from 2015, from 2000 to 2015, you're supposed to be doing the MDG goals. Then you went from 2015 to 2030 for the SDG goals. And that's where governments were supposed to do various programs, put training together, professional development, implement certain strategies for education. But we go to these conferences, we show off as if the Bahamas is up there, and then we come back and we do nothing. And let me also speak to this too, because I heard someone saying earlier about technical and vocational. The ministry changed the name to the Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training. Well, the Bahamas Union of Teachers, we have yet to see a technical and vocational program. And when we speak about the curriculum being revised, for example, and I've been saying this for years, at the primary school level, the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, they're doing 11, 12, 13 subjects. But if you can't read, how do you excel in 13 subjects? That's where the intervention needs to come in. Let's jump to the high schools. So if you were saying that the BJC, that's grades 7 to 9, the BGCSE, grades 10 to 12, you are saying that the students, they're failing. So what happened to the technical and vocational programs, the carpentry, the plumbing, the electrical? What happened to those programs? Where are those teachers? How are we reaching those children who may have those special skills and talents?
Yeah. Deandra was asking this question earlier, but are we losing a lot of teachers every year?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are, actually.
What rate?
Yeah, we are. And we have teachers that are resigning and they're going into other areas. And I would say to you, if the economy was really booming and there was various areas that have been diversified or have greater opportunities, we would lose more and more teachers every year. Because, again, we talk about salaries and benefits, which is very important, but teachers really do not feel as though they are important to the educational system. And there's a lot of rhetoric and talk every year in, year out from all the different ministers throughout all of the various, the FNM, the PLP, all. It's just a bunch of talk and rhetoric. And we have not really seen true investment in education in the Bahamas. And I heard someone called about the teacher shortage in NGM. Ragged Island, those children have not had a teacher stand in front of them in 7 years.
Wow.
They're on virtual learning.
I'm so happy you're talking about this, Belinda. Like, honestly.
You know,
because
and
children in our
every year
southern
it's the same
islands are
foolishness.
feeling
And
it.
then the Minister of Education, her response is, we have a teacher shortage throughout the world. Yes, we do. But we are in the Bahamas. The Bahamas Union of Teachers, I know, I've given them recommendations over and over. And let me just say, one of the recommendations that we've given is, hey, identify those top students in our schools who are not only in the teacher cadet program, that's one aspect, but those who are high flyers in the various subjects, identify them, give them full scholarships, give them an incentive, a financial incentive every month, bond them. We always had, we used to bond our teachers to ensure that once they've completed the University of the Bahamas or whichever university they attended, that they will give back 4 years to the government. We're saying to them, make sure that they liaise and consult with the University of the Bahamas, where we can ensure that not just the liberal arts program is happening for the bachelor's degree, but that there is specific training for teachers in mathematics, science, all of the various subjects. What they've done now with BTVI now has emerged into a junior college, so you need to have a certain amount of academics to get into BTVI. I don't think that was what BTVI was created for, established for. It was established so that you can hone the skills of your budding carpenters, plumbers, electricians, cosmetologists, your IT person, masseuse. What is it that we're doing for the 80 to 85% of our students who will not pass a BJC or a BGCSE if they stay in school for 100 years? So we need to accept what the reality is. The examinations are geared toward your top tier students, academic students, who are between 15 to 20% of your student population throughout the country. What is it that we're doing for the other 80 to 85% of our students?
If you could give us just a couple more minutes, but people kept talking about the importance of just parents in this whole education thing. What's your outlook on that?
Okay, definitely the importance of parents. I mean, it's so important that you can't imagine that a parent that is involved with their child, and I've taught, this is my 30th year in education. So the parents that came to the school who knew you as a teacher, the parents who came to the PTA meetings, the parents who dropped the child off or walked with the child in the mornings and came back for them in the afternoon, the parents who know who their teachers are and can come to the school at any time and touch base with the teacher, the parent who comes to the baseball, softball, track and field games and championships, their children, for the most part, are the children who are your high flyers or those who perform best.
Yeah.
However, let's go back. We are going around in a cycle because, again, that is still only your 10, 15, 20% of your parents. So you have the two out of 10, or maybe the 4 out of 10 parents that you could identify and say, oh, that's Chester's mom, that's Deandra's father. You know that, or Grammy. We know them. But the majority of the parents, we never get to know, we never get to see. So think about that. So aren't they the same children who are failing, or who are getting the low grades, or who are not getting that quality time? So it's time now for us to target those students so that our country can be better.
Absolutely. Always appreciate you, Belinda Wilson.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, take care. Let's take this break, and Morning Blend Business will return right after.
Back to school is around the corner. Move to the top of the class with this amazing Scotiabank Back to School credit card offer. You could win your share of prize money valuing $10,000 when you spend $150 or more on any Scotiabank credit card to purchase books, uniforms, technology items, or other academic items. 10 lucky customers will each win $2,000 in cash back towards their purchases. Promotion runs July 12th through September 30th, 2024. Drawing date is Friday, October 11th, 2024.
Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store wants to get you ready for back to school.
They have ready-made uniforms and uniform fabrics for almost every school in the Bahamas.
At Carrie's, find skirts, blouses, shirts, jumpers, boy shorts and long pants, neckties, socks, and
You
more.
can even have your uniform skirts custom made.
Check out our selection of embroidered cotton shirts.
That's Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store on Mackey Street. Call us at 393-0758 or 817-0758.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Now let me see now. 326 ETIC. Hello. This Epic Eckert battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Back to school is around the corner. Move to the top of the class with this amazing Scotiabank Back to School credit card offer. You could win your share of prize money valuing $10,000 when you spend $150 or more on any Scotiabank credit card to purchase books, uniforms, technology items, or other academic items. 10 lucky customers will each win $2,000 in cash back towards their purchases. Promotion runs July 12th through September 30th, 2024. Drawing date is Friday, October 11th, 2024. Nassau, get ready for a night you simply won't want to miss. For the first time in over 40 years, experience an evening with Eddie Menace live at the Amphitheater, Nassau Cruiseport on Saturday, October 5th. Tickets are on sale now. Go to BahamasEtickets.com or go to the Nassau Cruiseport box office, located in the Junkanoo Museum. Joining Eddie on stage, Fran Sean, Gino D, Iris Stoll, and Tinghamden. An evening with Eddie Menace live at the Amphitheater, Nassau Cruiseport, Saturday, October 5th. Get your tickets now.
And now it's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard yesterday pledged to implement major reforms in the banking sector if the Free National Movement wins the next election. He said, quote, "We need to revise the banking framework to create a sector that is both inclusive and cost efficient, ensuring banks remain viable while truly serving Bahamians. The FNM respects the need for commercial banks to operate profitably. While we will never propose anything that undermines the viability of the sector, we're deeply concerned about the unchecked fee increases that burden customers without a corresponding improvement in service quality or access." And as the bench trial over Bahamar drew to a close Thursday, the attorney for Sarkis Merlian and his BML Properties Limited contended that China Construction America used BML's bankruptcy proceedings to push forward its own commercial interests in the Bahamar property. According to Law 360, a New York-based legal news site, BML's counsel Jacob Bukdal told the judge in his closing arguments that BML's debt was a direct result of CCA's unmet promise of having Bahamar ready for the set March 2015 opening. It also explains that CCA's lawyer, Mark Goodman, during his closing arguments, maintained that it was the size of BML's debt that caused $1.5 billion in losses and not the building delays. And the Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Halkitis, said the Vision 2040 National Development Plan of the Bahamas is a living document to a new roadmap for Bahamian society. Halkitis, speaking at the relaunch of the country's National Development Plan on Friday, said, quote, "As we embark on with a deep sense of responsibility and pride, friends, together we are here to ensure that Vision 2040 becomes a living document, a breathing roadmap that guides us towards smarter, faster, and stronger Bahamas." And overseas in business, too many people, not enough management, a look at the chaos of over-tourism in the summer of 2024. Travelers idling in standstill traffic outside the sun-washed walls of Caso de Cipreste sometimes spot the bell and pull the string because it's funny. With the windows open, he can smell the car exhaust and hear the tuk-tuk of outside scooters named for the sound they make, and he can sense the frustration of 5,000 visitors a day who are forced to queue around the house on the crawl-up single-lane switchbacks to Peña Palace, the one-time retreat of King Ferdinand II. He says, quote, "Now I'm more isolated than during COVID. Now I try not to go out. What I feel is angry. This is a story of what it means to be visited in 2024, the first year in which global tourism is expected to set records since the coronavirus pandemic brought much of life on Earth to a halt. Wandering is surging rather than leveling off, driven by lingering revenge travel, digital nomad campaigns, and so-called golden visas blamed in part for skyrocketing house prices. Anyone paying attention during this summer of over-tourism is familiar with the escalating consequences around the world, traffic jams in paradise, reports of hospitality workers living in tents, and anti-tourism protests intended to shame visitors as they dine, or, as in Barcelona in July, douse them with water pistols. The demonstrations are an example of locals using the power of their numbers and social media to issue destination leaders an ultimatum. Manage this issue better, or we'll scare away the tourists who could spend their $11.1 trillion a year elsewhere. Housing prices, traffic, and water management are on all of the checklists. And Purdue recalls 167,000 pounds of chicken nuggets after consumers find metal wire in some packages. Check your freezer. Purdue Foods is recalling more than 167,000 pounds of frozen chicken nuggets and tenders after some customers reported finding metal wire embedded in the products. According to Purdue and the U.S. Agricultural Department's Food Safety Inspection Service, the recall covers select lots of 3 products: Purdue breaded chicken tenders, Butcher Box organic chicken breast nuggets, and Purdue Simply Smart Organics breaded chicken breast nuggets. And in your market watch, C-File market movers, AML Foods moving 220. They remain unchanged. Benchmark moving 100. They remain unchanged. Cable Bahamas moving 33,030 shares. They remain unchanged. Commonwealth Brewery 174. Remaining unchanged. Commonwealth Bank 5,350, up 0.1. And those are your movers. Bahamas All Share Index moving 2,943.75 shares, up 0.47. And that's your morning business report brought to you by C-File, growing wealth for future generations. And welcome back to Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. I'm Chester Robards. Let's read some more of your text messages. A lot of them came through. Okay, a lot of people saying some racial stuff for some reason. Speaking of trades, there's only one plumbing teacher in the whole country, but he does extremely well with his students. Wonder who sent that. Must be the plumbing teacher. Good morning. My days in high school, 3 years, was a Jamaican English teacher. I did exceptionally well, where I got distinction in English BJC in stage 1 and 2 in Pittman's exams. It depends on the students who want to do well in school and also their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. I recall a Frenchman in the financial industry responsible for training me telling me that he always advocates for local development. He said what the company had found over time is the foreigners can be attracted by salary, but they eventually leave. I believe the solution to the Family Island teaching is a combination of technology and local development. Have a revolving training of local island development for critical areas with the expectation that every 5 years you need to train the replacement. The locals are familiar with island life, are more likely to stay on island or make a 5-year commitment to the island. Yeah. Good morning. There are teachers today who have not been placed as of today yet for whatever reason. So teacher shortage, but a couple days until school open, teachers haven't been placed. I don't know what that's about. I think, boy, this person, you should just stop texting in because I'm not reading any of your stuff. Good morning, Chester and guests. There's a teacher cadet program and has been in place at COBUB for more than 15 years. Many teachers, BUT and BECAWU, attend numerous technical workshops each year. Homogeneous and heterogeneous groupings exist in many schools. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. While some of the BUT president's points are valid, many are incorrect. Okay. That's a text message. But, I mean, she did say that some schools have homogeneous and heterogeneous programs. They're different for each school. So, yes, she said that many teachers attend numerous technical workshops each year. She said that too, but also said that they spend their own money on them. Did I read that? There was a text about how much people. Oh, I didn't read this. Teachers have left education because making $26,000 for the amount of work, stress, your own money, and ongoing disappointment from the lack of support from administration, parents, other teachers, and the models that have been set up, tested, tried, and proven that can work for the economy we have, but we find that there's not much investment in education. The amount of money used for government travel and lavish parties can literally fund so many things, like updated textbooks, resources, classroom models, air conditioning in classes, after-school programs, chemistry labs. What else? Driver's ed. That's what Dwight wants to see.
That's what needed, though.
I'm just continuing this person's list.
Oh, okay, 'cause I was gonna say that's needed. You know, just saying.
STEM labs.
Yes.
Better computer labs. Somebody to teach coding.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should know some level of coding. Coding is not easy, but it is almost necessary nowadays.
No, we need to be encouraging that, and if there are opportunities for our children to learn possibly for free, then we need to do that as well. And I know persons will say there's a lot of things online, but you're assuming that first of all that child has a properly working device. You know how many students, young persons have told me that their parents have commandeered their tablets to like gamble and things like that, or to watch social media or to do other things. I'm like,
especially during COVID, because a lot of them got
the tablets and whatnot
for free in some cases.
Yeah, and some of the parents would have taken them to do their own thing with. So we have to take a step back and remember that not everybody exists in the same type of positive household as we do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Boy, we have a lot of work.
Well, that's why they call it development, right? Because it's always moving. It's always going forward or moving while staying stagnant, but moving, developing, you know? No?
So we'll always be a developing country.
We're trying each and every day to be the better.
Sigh.
That's all you could do. I mean, we're here doing our best on here, trying to talk to folks, draw attention to the matters, you know? But again, you and I are just two voices in a sea of how many persons that we have in the census? 400 some, and then we estimate there are about 700,000, maybe. That may not all be, you know.
We need plenty more people to care, and then maybe we can make a difference.
Yeah, that's the thing. What are they going to care about? That's where the National Development Plan comes in. Let's try to get people to care about why the development of their country matters.
Yeah, we got to fix so many things.
Yes.
And each one of us just needs to change our mindset. Mm-hmm. All right. That's the show, Deandra.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here always.
Back tomorrow. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green. That's up next. I'm Chester Robards. Have a great day. God bless all of you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you tomorrow.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.